Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you are all doing well. Let's start with a new poem today. It's called Circus Elephant by Kathryn Worth. I have some questions to ask you. So let's begin with that before I start explaining the poem. Have you been to a circus? Did you find it entertaining? Were there animals at the circus? Which animals did you see there? Do you think it is right for animals to be trained to perform at a circus? The RSPCA, that is the Royal Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals, believes that no circus, no matter how well managed, can provide a proper environment for wild animals. What do you think? Do you agree? These are just some questions to help you with some introspection. You need to think about these things. Do animals have feelings? What do you think? Do they have a memory? Suppose you take a wild animal from the wild and keep him in an enclosure. Would he be happy? Would he learn to be happy over time? Would he forget what it was like to be out in the wild? What do you think? Kathryn Worth has her own thoughts about it. So let's see if you feel the way she feels. Let's begin with this poem now and see what Kathryn Worth has to say about a circus elephant. This is the poem. It's called Circus Elephant and was written by Kathryn Worth. I will begin by reading the entire poem to you once so that you get the flow of the poem. After I finish reading through the entire poem, I will explain each verse to you one at a time. Let's begin. Circus Elephant by Kathryn Worth. Does the elephant remember in the grey light before dawn? Old noises of the jungle in mornings long gone? Does the elephant remember the cry of hungry beasts, the tiger and the leopard, the lion at his feast? Do his mighty eardrums listen for the thunder of the feet of the buffalo and zebra in the dark and dreadful heat? Does his majesty remember? Does he stir himself and dream of the long forgotten music of a long forgotten stream? What do you think? Does he remember? Does he miss all that? There are three things I need to point out in this poem before I go further. One is the rhyming words. Every poem has a particular rhyming scheme, okay, a rhyme scheme. So either the last word of the first and third line will rhyme in each verse, or the first and the fourth line will rhyme, or the second and the third, or the second and the fourth. Each poem will have a particular rhyme scheme, but they don't always have to have rhyming words. There are many poems that don't have any rhyme scheme at all, but they do have a particular rhythm. All poems have a rhythm like a song. That means they have a particular beat, okay? But they may or may not have rhyming words. This poem does have rhyming words, so let me point them out to you. In the first verse, you have dawn and gone. That means the last word of the second and the fourth line of the first verse. The second verse, you have bis and feast. In the third verse, you have feet and heat. In the fourth verse, you have dream and stream. So if you've noticed, when I pointed them out to you, the rhyming words are all in the second and fourth lines. Every verse, it's the same. Second and fourth, second and fourth. Okay? The second thing I need to point out to you is personification. Now, while you may know what rhyming words are because that's easy, you may not know what personification is. Personification comes from the word person, personification, so person. Now, what is personification? Personification is the quality of giving an inanimate object or an animal the qualities of a person. Hence, it's called personification. So, in this poem, Kathryn Worth has used personification all over. I'll tell you how. You have learned in English that a capital letter is used at the beginning of a sentence or for a particular name of a person, place, animal, or thing. For example, if I have a dog at home, a pet dog, and the dog's name is Rover, then I would not write dog with a capital D, but I would definitely write Rover with a capital R, right? Because Rover is the particular name of an animal, but not dog. Dog is just a species, a kind of animal. In this poem, Kathryn Worth has used capital letters in places where they should not be used. For example, elephant in the first line, capital E, then elephant again here. You have tiger with a capital T, leopard with a capital L, lion with a capital L, buffalo with a capital B, Z, capital for zebra. This is personification. There were not supposed to be any capital letters in these cases, but she has used capital letters to personify these animals, to make us feel that animals are like people. They have feelings like you and me. And for that reason, she has personified them. That is personification. So there is also alliteration in the poem. What is alliteration? If you know what it means, you will be able to find it quickly. So let me tell you what alliteration is. Alliteration is when words that start with the same sound are used close together in a sentence. Words that start with the same sound are used close together in a sentence. For example, I might say, the busy bees buzzed around the big brown bear. Can you hear the burr sound being repeated? The busy bees buzzed around the big brown bear. That is alliteration. Now, can you find an example of alliteration in this poem? I'll give you a hint. It's in the third verse. One of the lines of the third verse. Did you find it? Here it is. In the dark and dreadful heat. You have the d sound repeated. Dark, dreadful. The d sound is repeated and close together in the same sentence. Now, you may have heard of tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are basically sentences where the same sound is repeated over and over again. And tongue twisters are nothing but examples of alliteration. Okay, so in this poem, you have rhyming words, you have rhythm, definitely, you have personification, and you have alliteration. Now let's go through the poem one verse at a time. So this is the first verse. Does the elephant remember in the grey light before dawn, old noises of the jungle in mornings long gone? What does this mean? Does the elephant remember? The poet is asking us, do you think the elephant remembers? Does he remember the grey light before dawn? Dawn is early in the morning, before the sun has risen, when it's grey, it's not completely bright, it's a bit dark. Does he remember the time, that time, when he has heard old noises of the jungle, old noises because they are not fresh, he can't hear them now. He has heard them in his past, in mornings long gone, in the past. Early in the morning, he's heard these noises. He can't hear them any longer because he's not out in the wild now. But does he remember those noises? What do you think? The second verse. Does the elephant remember the cry of hungry beasts? The beasts, the wild animals, the hungry wild animals, they have a particular cry because they're hungry. Does he remember that cry? Whose cry? Does he remember the tiger's roar, the leopard's roar, the lion when it's roaring at its feast, when he has captured an animal, he's got his prey and he's about to eat it, he's about to feast on it and enjoy it. He has a particular cry. Does he remember all that? What do you think? The third verse, do his mighty eardrums, mighty meaning very big. Now the elephant's ears are very big, so his eardrums must be very big too. Do his mighty eardrums Listen for the thunder of the feet of the buffalo and zebra in the dark and dreadful heat. Well, this is probably Africa where these animals live. And it's really hot in Africa, so therefore dark and dreadful heat. It's very bad heat, very hot, dark, something bad. Does he remember in that heat having ever heard the thunder of the feet of the buffalo and zebra? When the buffalo and zebra walk together in herds, their feet make a thundering sound. It's like the sound of thunder. The whole ground starts vibrating. Does he remember those sounds? What do you think? Fourth verse. Does His Majesty remember? Does he stir himself and dream of the long forgotten music of a long forgotten stream? Do you think he remembers? And the poet Kathryn Worth is calling the elephant His Majesty. And if you look at the first line there, it's capital H and capital N to give him even more importance. Does His Majesty remember? He's like a king. But does he remember? Does he stir himself? Does he move slightly while he's sleeping and dream of the long forgotten music of a long forgotten stream? Not actual music, but when water is flowing down a stream, it has this beautiful, peaceful, calm sound. Does he remember that? Does he remember those sounds? What do you think? So with that, I've come to the end of the poem. I hope you have understood the explanation very well, and you have understood the meaning of rhyming words, alliteration, and personification. If you enjoyed this lesson, do consider subscribing, because that way you will keep receiving all the lessons that I post. Have a nice day. We'll meet very soon. Bye for now. Take care.